everyone, welcome back to my channel, Divine Masculine Guidance. Welcome if you're new. My name is Sarah Walsh and I am a life coach and a Holy Fire Reiki Master. So today I wanted to do a video about part of my personal journey on the awakening journey, I guess. And I wanted to talk about some of the physical changes that I have personally experienced, and I'm also going to mention some of the ascension symptoms that I've heard other people talk about that maybe I haven't personally experienced but that I know are common. So I'll get to those at the end. I spoke in one of my other videos about how our bodies are changing because we are ascending from the 3D to the 5D, and the earth is also ascending, and we have to take our physical bodies with us. So what makes this process unique in the history, the galactic history, is that we are ascending while we are in our physical bodies. So that means our physical bodies have to change. So some people say that our bodies are going from carbon-based to crystalline, which my logical mind can't make sense of that. That doesn't make any sense. But my intuition knows that that is true. That's what's happening. And it has to do with our DNA, and it's written in our DNA, and there are parts of our DNA that are not yet activated, that become activated as we go through this process. I've heard people say that it's what is referred to as junk DNA is actually not junk DNA. It's actually like very important. It's just like sleeping right now or something, and it just at a certain time or a certain experience or something happens, and it gets activated and turned on, and then our bodies change, which is pretty amazing. So what happened to me is in 2018, the summer 2018, it was actually the spring of 2018, I began to realize that sunlight, there was something about sunlight, and it was very important to get as much sunlight as possible. So that summer of 2018 is when I started making sure that I got as much sunlight as possible, out in the sun as much as possible, which I used to not like to go out in the sun at all. I used to kind of have reactions to it. It would make me very tired sometimes. Sometimes I would get like even skin rashes and things from it. But when I realized that the sun is good for us and that I wanted to get more sunlight and started going out in it, that changed for me, and my body began to really like and crave the sunlight. I've always had a hard time in the winter here where I live because it's cold, and so you don't have exposed skin and you're not outside in the sun much at all and everything. So, but I know I really have a hard time in the winter because I've gotten so used to like getting as much sunlight as possible when it's nice out. So I was out in the sun as much as possible, and then I noticed that my skin started having sparkles on it, which sounds kind of crazy, but I could wash my hands, like thoroughly wash my hands with soap and water, and then dry them very thoroughly with even like a paper towel, so you know that there's nothing on the paper towel, it's clean. And I would dry them, and then I could look in the sunlight on the palms of my hands. It looked like I had very fine glitter all over my hands, but it was just my skin. And I don't know if that's part of like turning in like more crystalline, or I'm not really sure what that signifies or whatever, but yeah, that was the first thing, and I was like, oh, this is crazy, what's happening to my body? And then the other thing that happened is that my diet began to change just naturally. Like, that's the thing, is that our bodies know the way. Our bodies are the ones that are changing, and your body knows what it's doing. You know, just like you don't need to like tell your heart to beat, and you don't need to tell your lungs to breathe, and your body just does what it's supposed to do. That's kind of what is happening here as well, is like, just listen to your body and do what your body is asking you to do, even if it doesn't even like make a whole lot of sense or it doesn't seem that healthy. Your body knows what it needs. So as long as you're not like using eating and food as a way to numb your emotions or like fill a hole in your soul or something like that, it's okay to indulge once in a while in things that are not so healthy or things that you normally wouldn't eat or drink. If your body really is craving it, there's probably a reason for it. So I know for me, I was just going to get into the dietary changes, and one of the dietary changes that I experienced was that I naturally started not wanting meat as much, and it wasn't a conscious thing. I have been vegetarian in my life before, but this was more of just like all of a sudden most things that I had been eating didn't taste good anymore, and there were only like a handful of things that really appealed to me at any time. And so I think I had like 5 things really that I would buy at the store to eat that I knew I would appeal to me enough to eat it, and like 4 of the 5 things were meatless. So it wasn't an intentional thing. My body started craving salad, which, if you know me, I'm not a salad eater. Well, I am now, but I wasn't a salad eater. I never really liked salads at all. And all of a sudden I was craving salad. I started making fruit and veggie smoothies. Those are good. But the meat thing, so I don't eat a whole lot of meat now, but I do still eat meat. But once in a while my body will crave like a hamburger or something, and then I eat it because I know that my body needs that. Usually I assume it needs the iron, because red meat is kind of a very good source of iron and an easily absorbable source of iron. And meat is also very grounding. So maybe I need some extra grounding that day. Eating in general is a very grounding activity. So if you're feeling really spacey or kind of in la la land, or like you're just disconnected or something like that, if you eat something, that's a good way to like instantly bring yourself back into your body. I'm gonna do a video on different grounding methods sometime soon. The latest thing about my diet that I've noticed is that all of a sudden now my body doesn't seem to really like sugar so much anymore, which makes sense because I know everyone knows sugar is not good for you. But I have always been a sugar addict. If you know me, I am a sugar addict. Like, it's an addiction. It's bad. But yeah, lately I've noticed when I eat the sugary things that I normally would eat, I don't all the time eat sugary things, but I do like pretty much anything sugary. But lately I've noticed that it's just, now I'll be eating it and realize it's actually unappetizing to me, which is strange. But that's good, because then I'm not going to eat as much sugar. And also salt, I've become very sensitive to salt. Like a lot of things that I eat now, especially any kind of processed food or anything, it's like tastes way too salty for me, and it doesn't taste good. Yeah, so that's food changes. And then the next thing that I noticed was that I have became less photosensitive. I'll say it like that, I guess. I've always had to wear sunglasses outside pretty much all the time. I even had to wear polarized sunglasses because my eyes were so sensitive to the light. And like a year and a half ago, I noticed that the sunlight wasn't bothering my eyes at all. And I can even look at oncoming traffic, the headlights, and I can look right at them. It doesn't bother me. And that used to be very bothersome to me, driving at night with the headlights in my eyes. So I hardly have to wear sunglasses anymore. Every once in a while, my eyes will feel a little sensitive and I wear sunglasses, but it's very rare. I used to wear them all the time, especially like all the time when I was driving, I would wear them, and now I hardly wear them. And then the other thing that I noticed was also about that time, about a year and a half ago, the spring of 2019, I usually have pretty severe seasonal allergies, spring and fall, but mostly the spring. I'm allergic to primarily tree pollen, I discovered. And last spring, when I was sitting outside in my hammock one day, I was looking at the trees. I have some big pine trees that line my driveway, and I was looking at them, and you could see the pollen just pouring off of the trees. It was just falling off of the trees in the wind, and I went, and I was perfectly clear. I didn't have any congestion at all, and I thought, well, that's amazing, because usually I would have to, in the spring, have to take Sudafed every single day for congestion from the allergies, from mostly the tree pollen. So I haven't had to take Sudafed for that anymore. And I don't seem to have seasonal allergies anymore. So that's also good. And the other thing that I noticed, and this year is primarily when I noticed this, is that I don't seem to be allergic to mosquito bites anymore. So I will get bit by a mosquito and I'll get a bump right away and it'll itch a little bit right away. So I know that I've been bitten. But then it usually like stops itching pretty much right away. And then usually within a couple hours, like the bump is even gone. Sometimes they hang around, but if they do, they don't really itch anymore. Which is pretty amazing considering I remember specifically in the summer of 2018, I would get bit by mosquitoes and they would itch so badly that I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. They would keep me awake at night and I would have to have hydrocortisone cream next to my bed, and it was just, they were horrible. And now it's like, oh, well, this is cool. So that's good. I'm not going to complain about that. And then the most recent thing that I've noticed, and this is just in the last, 2 years, I guess. It's been a slow progression, but now it's just gotten more and more, is that my body rejects alcohol. Now it pretty much rejects it completely. It was just kind of like, was kind of a slow progression thing. At first I just thought, oh, I'm getting older and my hangovers are getting worse or something, but it was really disproportionate to like the amount that I would drink and then how I would feel the next day. I would feel like I was dying the entire next day, which I didn't drink that much alcohol for that to be logical. But I stopped drinking as much as I had been. My last relationship that I was in, my ex-boyfriend is a fairly heavy drinker. And so I was drinking quite a bit then. And then we broke up and I moved here and on my own. And I don't normally drink alcohol on my own. I never have. I don't enjoy drinking alcohol by myself. I'm just more of a social drinker. So I naturally like just didn't have the desire or opportunity to drink as much as I had been. So it was only once in a while, and then I was noticing that I was having like this kind of exaggerated physical reaction to the alcohol. And then now, just in the last, 6 months or so, I've noticed that when I drink alcohol, it doesn't even have the same effect on me anymore. Like I used to, be a social drinker, and I'm a fairly shy person. I have social anxiety, so when I would drink in a social setting, it would help me like feel less inhibited and feel more outgoing and more social and friendly. And I've just noticed the last couple times that I have been drinking, which isn't recently, but it didn't even have that effect anymore. It just basically made me tired, and then the next day I felt like crap. So I'm like, I came to the realization after the last time that I drank, I was like, this is not doing anything for me at all anymore. There's no positive to drinking alcohol for me. So I just kind of decided I'm not going to drink anymore. And I can't say for sure that I won't ever drink again, but, like I said, I'm a social drinker, and there isn't a whole lot of opportunity right now for social gatherings and things. So I haven't even really had the opportunity to drink. But yeah, I'm just not really interested in that anymore. And that's just wasn't a conscious thing. That was just a natural thing. And I mean, alcohol is poison. So it kind of makes sense that there might come a time when my body would start to reject that. So those are my personal experiences of physical changes as I'm starting to ascend. And yeah, they're not, like I said, they're not things I've tried to do at all. Most of these things are very good, healthy changes, in a healthier direction, and I'm not even trying to do them or trying to control it or even thinking about it. It's just my body naturally knows what it needs and what it wants, and it tells me, and I listen. So I'm going to tell you now a few of what are called Ascension symptoms that I've heard other people talk about a lot that maybe you personally have experienced or will be experiencing. The first one, a big one is, and this is one that I have experienced personally, is exhaustion. So sometimes during this process, our body just needs a lot more rest in order to go through all these big changes. So if you're feeling really, really exhausted, you know, just rest. If you're able to, rest as much as possible. And I'm going to say with all of these things it's only 4 things I'm going to say. But with any of them, of course, go and see a doctor if they're concerning. If you're experiencing these things and they're concerning to you, or, you know, it's always a good idea to be checked out by a doctor and make sure there's not some underlying cause or something else happening. So I'm not trying to discourage you from getting things checked out. I definitely think you should get things checked out if you need to. I'm just going to tell you these things just in case you have them happen, and you might be able to remember, oh yeah, I remember Sarah talking about that might happen, and, you know, maybe not have to worry about it as much, but still get it checked out if you feel you should. Definitely. Okay, so exhaustion is the number 1. Number 2 is ringing in the ears. A lot of people will, once in a while I have this myself, but it hasn't been too bad. I hear some people say it's very bothersome, though. They'll have a lot of ringing in the ears, different tones, and I don't really know what the reason for that is, other than perhaps your body is becoming attuned to higher frequencies that you didn't hear before. I also think it could be that somebody is trying to communicate with you, and like from another dimension or another place, and you can't quite hear what they're saying, but it just comes through as a tone, which is a pretty out there explanation, but I feel that can be the case. Another thing people talk about a lot is body aches, random body aches for no reason. That can happen. It's pretty common. And another thing that people have happen, and I also have had this one happen, is heart palpitations. That, of course, can be very concerning, and you should definitely go see a doctor if you are experiencing that a lot. Or, yeah. But for me, it was just not enough to be too concerning. And, yeah. So anyway, those are the physical ascension symptoms that I personally have experienced or heard other people talk about that I thought maybe could be helpful for you guys to hear about in case you experience any of them yourself. I can't talk all of a sudden. So yeah, just be gentle with yourself. Take it easy. This is really a big deal for our bodies to be going through this process, and just let yourself rest if you need to rest. You know, there are days where I have like plans to like clean my whole house or something, and I wake up and I'm just exhausted, and I just say, no, I guess I'm not doing that today. I'm just gonna, you know, take it easy and rest and just read a book or go on my phone or whatever. And you know, yeah, try to eat good foods as much as possible. But again, listen to your body, and if you're craving like comfort food or if you're craving sugar, there have been days where I crave sugar intensely and I just eat it because I don't know what's going on with my body, but my body knows, and if it really wants sugar, there might be a reason why maybe it needs some extra sugar that day for some reason to do what it needs to do. So I just listen to it. It's also important to stay hydrated, so drink lots of good, like pure water as much as possible. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about that, I guess. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to work with me one-on-one, you can send me an email. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.